20 years ago, I took these pictures. I'm really disappointed I didn't have a video camera back in those days, but I still remember the stories. This was during a 5 month Arctic expedition, and I took a few shots here and there. You can see, and I'll just scroll through these pictures. This is what the land looked like. It was a very low snow year, not much snow that year, and I was able to put on some miles. But the of course, the weather was extremely cold, and I had 22 Alaskan Malamutes with me. Actually, I had 23 dogs, but I had one that I used in lead. His name was Bear, and he was the old style Alaskan Husky, which they're pretty well gone now. I think they're pretty disappeared. They weren't a pure breed anyhow, but that particular line is extinct. And there he is in the middle. Um, he's the black one in lead. You see him occasionally in these slides. But one of the funny stories, I always, when you're up against it, life and death situations, and for some reason, I, I guess it's just the way I am. I look at the humor side of it all because I suppose everything happens for a reason, and my dogs, Alaska Malamutes, I always call them cheerful warriors because they're always happy. It could be raining fire and brimstone, their tails would still be wagging and they'd still be smiling. And just the way I think that as humans we ought to be, I think we should be cheerful and happy in all things, and it kind of helps us in a way. I think this is how our good Lord wants us to be as we go through life, because everyone struggles, and why not just look on the bright side of things? And I'll get back to the story here. The place I worked, like I said, it was a remote camp. You only could fly into it and fly out, and it was in the Arctic. And the hunters, they loved to, they had the radio blaring all the time. We could get one radio station in the camp, and it drove me crazy. But always there was a constant, it seemed like a commercial, always about Geico car insurance. And, save money on Geico car insurance. Well, I didn't have a vehicle. There were no roads or no place to drive, and I hadn't driven for 3 years. And anyhow, it just rung in my head. I hated that commercial, yet I had to constantly listen to it. And to take you back to the struggles of life and death, we were climbing a mountain pass, and it was during a horrible blizzard. The blizzard came up while we were climbing it, and there was no way to turn around. We had to go right into it, and the wind and the snow was just beating us up. I mean, we were just, and frankly, we're in a life and death situation. We either had to make it to the top, or there's no way we could survive that blizzard. And as I was walking ahead of the team, hunched over, fighting the wind and the snow, I looked back at Bear, and he looked at me with the strangest look. And I said, "Look, Bear, think about it. Look how much we're saving on Geico car insurance." And I think Bear laughed. It was, to me, it was funny because here we were nearly dying in this blizzard, and I come up with something stupid like that. But it gave me a little extra boost to keep going, rather than getting sad or depressed and falling over and freezing to death. We kept going. So that's what happened on that one.